Two police officers showed up at my front door on a Thursday morning, asking about a hit and run I had nothing to do with. My name is Chris. I'm 38, married with 2 kids. Until that morning, my biggest problem in life was my neighbor Gary and his obsession with lawn edging. Gary lived 2 houses down. We'd had bad blood for 3 years, a fence line dispute, a fight over tree roots, and whole complaint about my son's basketball hoop that took months to sort out, mostly in my favor. It was petty on both sides, the kind of slow-burning neighbor feud that probably exists on every street in America. I never imagined it would end with police at my door. "Can you account for your whereabouts last night around 9:40 p.m.?" the younger officer asked. His name tag said Reyes. "I was home. Dinner. Kids in bed by 8:30. Watched some TV. I said it easily because it was true. Why?" Reyes explained that Gary had filed a report. His mailbox, a custom brick and post structure he'd installed the previous spring, had been struck and destroyed the night before. Gary claimed he saw the vehicle from his upstairs window, a dark gray Ford F-150 teened. My truck. I stood there feeling a kind of disbelief. I don't think I can fully explain unless it's happened to you, knowing with total certainty that you didn't do something, and realizing that certainty means almost nothing against someone else's confident story. "My truck's in the garage," I said. "Hasn't moved all week. I've been driving my wife's car. It's getting new tires Saturday." I showed them. My FI-50 sitting untouched, tires slightly flat-spotted from sitting still. Definitely not a truck that had been in a hit-and-run 12 hours earlier. Then Reyes stopped at the front bumper. There was fresh damage, a scrape, a small dent, damage that hadn't been there 4 days ago when I'd last touched that truck. I hadn't driven it. I hadn't touched it. And there it was. "Sir," Reyes said, his tone shifting, "I'm going to need you to come down to the station." I called Melissa, my wife, from the driveway. My hands were shaking in a way that embarrassed me. At the station, waiting for my formal statement, she grabbed my hand and squeezed it hard. "We'll prove this," she said. "I know you didn't do this. We'll prove it." I believed her. I just didn't know how yet. Then I called Frank, 2 doors down on the other side, half out of instinct, half because I needed to talk to someone who might actually believe me. What Frank told me changed everything. "Chris," he said, "I don't know if this means anything, but I got one of those video doorbells installed last month. Wide angle. Catches most of the street. I haven't even checked the footage yet. Want me to pull up last night?" "Pull it up," I told him, "please. And don't delete anything. Don't touch anything until the police see it." I mentioned it to Reyes before I even left for the station. "My neighbor Frank has a doorbell camera that might have caught the street last night. Can we get that footage?" Reyes said it was worth checking. Looking back, I think that moment, me pointing them toward evidence instead of running from it, did more to shift how he looked at me than anything I said afterward. The next 3 days were the worst of my life. I gave a full statement, cooperated with everything. Meanwhile, that dent sat in my mind like a splinter I couldn't stop touching. We have a spare key and a lockbox in the garage. Maybe 6 or 7 people knew about it. Family, a couple of neighbors. Including Gary, I realized. He'd asked about it once, years ago, during some conversation about garage security. Frank's footage took 2 days to process. His lawyer wanted to review it first, make sure everything was handled properly. Then, on the 3rd day, Reyes called and asked us to come in and watch it together. He pulled the footage up on a laptop in a small interview room. Melissa sat next to me. Reyes hit play, and for a few seconds, nothing happened. Just the quiet cul-de-sac at night, porch lights, a car passing. Then he leaned forward. "Wait," he said. He froze the frame. "Run that back." Nobody said anything for a moment. He rewound 10 seconds and played it again, slower this time, his eyes fixed on the screen instead of on us. I watched his jaw tighten. "Okay," he said quietly. "I want to walk this through step by step, because I need to make sure I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing." At 9:31 p.m., 9 minutes before Gary's reported time, a figure walked out of Gary's own garage, on foot, not in a vehicle. The figure crossed toward my driveway, paused near my truck for almost 2 full minutes, mostly out of frame, but close enough to see they were doing something at the front bumper. At 9:38, the same figure walked back toward Gary's house. At 9:41, 1 minute after Gary claimed to have seen my truck speeding away, his own dark blue pickup backed rapidly out of his driveway. It went the opposite direction, away from my house, not toward it. Reyes sat back slowly. I honestly couldn't believe what I was hearing, I said later, trying to explain it to my brother. It didn't feel real. It felt like watching someone else's life. It took 2 more days for forensics to confirm what the footage suggested. The damage on my bumper didn't fully match a mailbox post collision. It was more consistent with someone striking it deliberately, with a blunt object, by hand. Gary, investigators determined, had backed out of his own driveway too fast and hit his own mailbox, a genuine accident. But instead of paying to fix it himself, he saw an opportunity. Our trucks were similar. He knew where our spare key was. So he walked over that same night and staged damage on my bumper to match his mailbox, planning to file an insurance claim against me and a police report to back it up. $3,000. That's what the mailbox cost to install. $3,000 and 3 years of resentment over a fence line were apparently enough for him to try to frame a neighbor for a crime. I was cleared within a day of the footage being reviewed. Gary wasn't as lucky. Detectives brought him in for questioning once the timeline didn't add up. I wasn't in the room, but Officer Reyes told me what happened when they showed him the footage. Gary went pale. He tried to explain it away, said he was just checking on my truck, said the timing was a coincidence. Nobody bought it. When they told him forensics had matched the bumper damage to something other than a mailbox post, he stopped talking altogether. His lawyer, present by phone, told him not to say another word, and that was it. He couldn't answer. There was nothing left to say. He was charged with filing a false police report and, separately, faced a civil case from his own insurance company for attempted fraud. He avoided jail. A plea deal gave him probation, a fine, and community service. But the fallout followed him anyway. Gary worked in insurance himself, and word travels fast in that industry. He lost his job within 2 months. Donna, his wife, reached out to Melissa weeks later. She said she'd had no idea what he'd done until police showed up at their door, too. She said it was the most humiliated she'd ever felt in her marriage. They separated not long after. Gary and Donna sold the house about 8 months later and left the neighborhood. I saw him once more before they moved, pulling groceries out of his car, both of us catching each other's eye across the cul-de-sac for one long, silent second. Neither of us said anything. There wasn't anything left to say. Frank became something of a local legend on our street for a while. The guy whose camera solved a crime, as someone put it at a block party the next summer. I bought him a bottle of good scotch and a gift card to his favorite restaurant, though honestly, nothing felt like enough. If he hadn't mentioned that camera on a whim, during a panicked phone call, in the exact right moment, I don't know how differently that week could have ended for my family. I installed cameras of my own within a month, not out of fear of anyone currently on my street, just because the whole thing taught me something I hadn't fully understood before, how easily a confident lie can look more convincing than a quiet truth, right up until the moment someone finally checks the tape. Gary thought he had the perfect plan. He forgot one thing. Cameras don't lie.